Hey, this is Matt once again. What about the video? This is another paid request, this time for Yule. Thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box underneath pretty much each of these videos. They'll be in there. But this is directed by Sammo Hung. Sammo Hung. And it stars a guy named Yuen Biao. Yuen Biao, those two and Jackie Chan were three guys that grew up together in the opera school overseas. And the Peking Opera School, I believe it was called. But I know it was an opera school. Sorry if I fucked up the name. And they grew up together and they grew up making movies. They've done actually quite a few movies together. Wheels on Mules, Project A, like they've worked together on quite a bit of stuff, as well as having their own careers. You know, even Sammo Hung directed Jackie Chan Mr. Nice Guy, which is a film I do enjoy. Of course, Jackie Chan's not in this, but as that group, he's gone on to big success, of course. Sammo Hung, I liked him on this TV show called Martial Law. Eastern Condors, very, very good. I highly recommend anyone who's into any type of action, martial arts, definitely check out Eastern Condors. It's pretty much an Asian version of the Dirty Dozen, but honestly, I like it more than the Dirty Dozen. Sammo Hung and Yuen Biao, they're in that film, and I think Sammo Hung directed it. But Yuen Biao, I know he did this film with Cynthia Rothrock. I forget what it was called. It's the one where there's two endings. There's a darker ending and a more positive ending. I forget the name. But like I said, Yuen worked with Eastern Condors and Wheels on Mules with Sammo Hung, and worked with Jackie Chan a few times. This one is Yuen gets to star as a character named Leung Chang. This is a guy who thinks he's this great kung fu guy, doing these fights like he could beat up everybody. But he comes to find out that his dad, kind of like Mickey in Rocky 3. Well, not to that extent. Because Rocky 3, Mickey, he didn't fix the fights, but he picked people that he knew could lose against Rocky. They didn't throw the fight, but they knew that he knew Rocky could beat him. Fine and dandy. This, on the other hand, the dad of Yuen, he paid people to purposely lose. You're going to lose to my son. Make him feel like he's a man. Make him feel like he's a winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. And he will have a good self-esteem on himself. Of course, that bites our lead character in the ass, because as time goes on, there's a point where him and his friends are at this opera school, and there's a theater being performed. A play being performed, I should say. And this opera actor, who we think is female, one of Yuen's buddies starts trying to get her attention, acting like a jackass, and ultimately this female opera actor embarrasses the shit out of him. And I will say, the fight scenes, there's not wire work. It's in the style of Wing Chun, and it's very much that old school kung fu done practically. Again, no wire work, stop crouching till you hit your dragon type of stuff, and very talented physical performers. Pretty much anybody and everybody in this film, very talented. And you come to find out, after this lady embarrasses the shit out of the friend, even to the point of like painting his face, all these different colors. Well, Yuen tries to fight and gets easily his ass kicked. And by that point, you find out that the female is not a female, it is a guy, and the character's name is Yi Tai. Now, from what I understand, back in the day, it was very common that a lot of these plays, the female would be performed by a male. That was a common practice. our lead realizes, wow, this person's really talented. I ain't shit. My dad paid for me to win. Please teach me. And Yitai's like, no, I'm not teaching you shit. Leave me the fuck alone. But our lead character's adamant. He's insistent. Even to the point that the dad buys the school and our lead is able to be the assistant of Yitai. And then Yitai kind of forces him, okay, you don't replace this actor. And then our lead realizes that the actor he's replacing, the reason he's being replaced is that actor cheated on this guy. He slept with this guy's wife, and then the guy wants to fight him, and then Yitai has to protect our lead character Yun from getting his ass kicked, and that's where he gets noticed by our, I guess, bad guys, what you would call him? Is it played by a guy named Frankie Chan? And I say I guess because he's not really a bad guy. The people he's with are, but he personally just wants to fight to prove himself, to prove his worth. Because even in a fight, he's honorable. Like there's a fight with, a decent choreographed fight, and when the other guy gets asthma, Frankie Chan stops and goes, okay, we're going to do this another day, since you're having an asthma attack. So this means he's not really a bad guy. And I would say that kind of hurts the ending a little bit, because that's where the big fight is, and it's between our lead and a guy which, yeah, I get it, do this a little bit different, so it's not just a cliche that you've seen over and over again. I give credit to that. It's more about our lead character showing that he has finally learned to be, he's not a wannabe kung fu master. Now he is rising the ranks to be a kung fu master. It's a proving of one's worth. That seems to be more of the case of the ending, not so much a revenge type of thing. It's just that kind of hurts a bit with some of the stuff that happens. Well, that's a pretty big spoiler. So let me wait on that. Like I said, when the fight scenes happen, they're well choreographed. I will admit, in fights, I'm more of a fan because of the way I grew up and the type of films I grew up. The down and dirty style, whether it be the Jean-Claude Van Damme stuff in Hard Target, Kickboxer, Bloodsport. They may not be realistic, but it's stylized for a movie, but still compared to this, different take on fights. Same with the early Steven Seagal. I liked that stuff before Steven Seagal became full of shit. Jeff Speakman, that type of stuff. That's why when I saw Bruce Lee much later on, I'm like, oh, I really like that stuff, because that reminded me of the era I grew up, even though that was the 70s. Like, even the Sonny Chibas, the Street Fighter, that's just more my cup of tea, not really the which is like more of a dance. But on the flip side, I still like it, because it's still a great art to it. Because it is like a dance. It's a well choreographed dance. And the fight at the end is some great moves to it. Sammo Hung knows how to shoot it. He's very experienced at that. This came out, I think, in 1981. But I would say I would prefer Fist of Legend with Jet Li, or even though it's not that style, but like some of the Jackie Chan modern ones like Operation Condor, Rumble in the Bronx. Those are just more my type of martial arts, but this is still, I don't know if it's just the period pieces, I don't know. But this is not a bad film at all. There's a lot of comedy in this. It didn't always work for me, but sometimes it did. Like the piece of comedy where this buddy, our lead guy Yuen Biao, tells his buddy, I want you to attack me when I'm not thinking about it, so I can always be on guard. sort of for training to defend myself. So at random times, his buddy, kind of like what would happen in the Pink Panther movies or Peter Sellers, where I think it was what, Kato? Not Bruce Lee Kato, but I believe the guy was named Kato. Is like, and then the guy would keep doing it, and Peter Sellers would always be on guard. So yeah, that kind of motif going on. I didn't mind that. But at the same time, it kind of creates this weird tone shift. Super spoilers coming up. Because you do have this goofy bits of comedy. I think when Yi Tai's fighting Yoon's buddy and painting his face up, that bit I just mentioned, Sammo Hung's character who comes in later, and the way he interacts with his daughter, and how the first scene we see him is he's impressed his daughter by doing this calligraphy, doing all these kung fu bits just to do this calligraphy painting, putting his legs on the ceiling banister to do it. But then before that, for 5 minutes, we have these, I don't call them ninjas because they look like ninjas, kill most of the opera school. I mean, they come in, they're fucking slitting throats, slit another throat, slit another throat. There's more slit throats than the Friday the 13th movie. But yeah, it's, for a good chunk of it before that, and even bits after, it seems like a bit more lighthearted. So that's what I mean, it has this kind of weird shift in tone because of that. It'd be like if... I'm trying to think now, like a comparison. I mean, now that I think about it, that's not as uncommon as I think with Asian action movies. Like, on a quick note, there's this film called, I mentioned Operation Condor. Well, I remember seeing the other cut of the film, because the cut we got in the U.S. was truncated. And I prefer the U.S. cut of the film, I will say. I do prefer that. And the longer cut, there's a scene where Jackie Chan and his group meet these folks, they say goodbye, then the bad guys get there, and the bad guys just wipe these folks out. Just, and just very grim. And again, kind of like this, has that different shifts in tone that at times is almost breakneck in that shift, like a whiplash effect. I should say whiplash. So I guess that's not uncommon with not all, but a lot of Asian films. And like, this is also the film where Sammo Hung is taking the piss out of Yuen Biao. Oh sure, I'll train you. So he's training the guy, and then you realize he's training him in this toilet technique, where you're squatting like you're going to take a dump, and then you have your hand on this and go this. And it like takes forever Yuen Biao to realize he's getting the piss taken out of him for it. But yeah, the ninjas kill like most of the opera school except Yi Tai and our lead character Yoon, and his buddy who's knocked out elsewhere. I do like the bit where Yoon takes this curtain and turns it to like a burning flag as a nice use of slow-mo, camera wide enough to see the whole bit of business, so you get a good sense of the geography, as a nice sense of slow-mo, and the actor who plays Yi Tai at times doing jumps over this burning flag as he's swinging it so he can hit the bad guys. I thought that was nicely done. That was a nice bit of a scene. Even like a ooh shit moment where our lead character gets caught by these two ninjas and gets his arm broken. I'm like, ooh shit. I mean, I did say spoilers. And spoilers from here on out. But again, those two, Yoon's buddy's knocked out, but those two make it out. They go to Sammo Hung's place, he's there with his daughter. And so Yitai starts to teach him stuff, and then Sammo Hung starts to teach him stuff. Sammo teaches him a bit more of the down and dirty street fighting techniques, like attacking the wound, headbutts, things of that nature. Well, Yitai's teaching more of the traditional stuff. Including this bit where they're on a table and Yuen keeps getting off the table as they get back on. So one thing leads to another, and Yitai and Yuen Biao leave. Sadly, we don't see Sammo Hung again, or his daughter, throughout the rest of the film. We're going to get into our finale. And you get to the guy, Frankie Chan, who had previously fought and challenged Yitai's character. I had stopped when the guy Yitai had asthma attack. And you kind of find out that the bad guy's not really a bad guy. Like, he didn't know what happened. He didn't know who caused it. And he comes to find out that his father, kind of like our lead character's father, buys stuff off to make their sons either look better or protect them or however. Like in Yuen Biao's case, he pays people to purposefully lose. And Frankie Chan's case, the bad guy's case, it's to, okay, if there's any chance this person can hurt or kill my son, you kill them. And in fact, the bodyguards do that and stab Yitai. And Frankie Chan's like horrified by it. And then as Yitai dies, Yun and Frankie Chan, they're going to fight in this other location. And we pretty much did that. Frankie Chan, he had decapitated his bodyguards for what they did. So then you have a final fight where Yuen Biao is very angry, he's very pissed off, but at the same time he's pissed off at the wrong guy. Like, go after go after Frankie Chan's dad. Like, he's the guy you want to kick ass. So you never get that sense of our lead character, you get revenge for his master and all this stuff. You don't really get that. The revenge feels, and maybe that's the point. It's not about revenge. It's about our lead character proving his worth, that he could defeat this talented fighter. But you still don't get that satisfaction of a villain comeuppance by your hero, because the one that our lead character bites, well, he's close to biting. I wouldn't be surprised, because it seems like during the fight, Yitai's teachings do help, but it seems like Sammo Hung's teachings is what turned the winds of war, so to speak, into our lead character's favor by doing headbutts and attacking the wound over and over again. See, like, that's the stuff that worked the best and paid off. And I'm surprised a bite wasn't in there. Does it mean if you get close, okay, you bite him? There's a lot of humor can either be slapstick or lowbrow, like fart jokes and potty humor and stuff in Asian, especially action cinema. Or you have very goofy characters that have big old, like there's some characters that have like big old moles. Some of them in movies have like big fake teeth. So very over the top. Which I don't know how I feel about that humor. I just don't find it funny. So it's a well done fight scene at the end, but it's just, again, there's not that emotional satisfaction core. Just like, well, this is the wrong guy to take it out on, it in a way, because he had no knowledge of this. It's not really his fault, but he did challenge it and he accepted it, and our lead character is going to do it in the honor of his master, and then he proves himself and he's capable. And again, Yoon's not a bad actor, and he's very, very capable of a martial artist. So, I mean, Like I said, if you like these type of old school kung fu movies, it's definitely worth a look. There's just little bits here and there that I had like nitpicks on, but again, if you like Sammo Hung, if you like Yuen Biao, if you like kung fu flicks, it's definitely worth a look. It's not a bad movie. It's a good movie. Again, it's just, I don't think it's someone I've ever watched again, but I'm glad I at least saw it once. So with that said, thanks for watching. There is a making of on YouTube, but the only English parts I think is Sammo Hung and I think Frankie Chan, but the other parts are not in English, like the other participants. But it is on YouTube, and Sammo Hung seems like he's a pretty friendly in the interview, like fun. If you just type in Prodigal Son on YouTube, it's like maybe 30 minutes long or so. I don't know, it's from a Dragon Dynasty DVD, I would assume, maybe. But with that said, if you want to watch that, give it a look, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.